Neil,
Uh-huh.
how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
I just woke up, but life is good.
Life is good. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I had a wonderful morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, gardening.
I heard you woke up at 8 a.m.
No, actually, before that, it's
Oh,
getting hot, and I always have to make sure I get something done.
yeah.
This is Texas.
Texas summer.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. This is how we start. Anyway, this is Jesse. If you remember him, he was once on this show, and I'm super excited to have you back. Welcome.
Yeah, so the pleasure is all mine. The last time I was on this show, I was doing it just by audio because I didn't have a
Yeah,
good lighting
yeah.
system back at home.
And then you were traveling too. COVID was still arriving in Rwanda, so it
Definitely.
was. But thank you for taking your time.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
inviting me. Yeah.
good. Yeah, great to have you, and
hmm
congratulations on your graduation, man.
Oh, thank you. It's been a long time coming for that.
4 years in America. How
Mm-hmm.
do you feel about it?
It does really go by so fast, but
Mm.
I feel like a big sense of accomplishment has just come upon me.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So, how do you feel? What do you think about graduation? How
Well,
was the experience going down, grabbing your diploma,
yeah.
talking to?
Actually, it was one of its kind because I was the last person to enter the hall.
Okay,
I had uh,
interesting.
I had slept in because my graduation was at 9 a.m. But my number for walking in was 524.
524.
524 out of about 600 graduating students.
That's patience.
So I thought to myself, if I'm gonna go that far, I might as well not come in early. But things don't work that way when you're
Yeah.
graduating. But anyways, it was a little bit anxious and
Mm.
then scary. But once you shake the chancellor's hands, then you have everything under control.
Yeah. So what's so scary about it?
So the first thing, it's the whole idea of finishing college.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not like you've done it before, but you don't know if it's really that true
Mm.
because in the last 4 years your mind has been set towards a fixed schedule
Yeah.
of waking up, going to class, and doing exams and submitting something.
Yeah.
So the very thought that you're not gonna be doing that ever again, at least in the meantime, can be scary because you don't know what's next in a
Yes.
life that has no fixed schedules.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
now you talk about scheduling. I remember in high school,
yeah,
our teachers used to tell us that, oh, in college you take care of yourself.
yes.
But now you're finishing college and you're telling me that you have to still take care of yourself.
Well, yeah.
That's it.
I think
So
it's
when that doesn't stop.
yeah. So it doesn't stop. It just changes who
Yeah.
is taking care of the other one the most.
Yeah.
So I think in high school the biggest scheduling was left to the school administration to design a timetable.
Hmm.
But then for the college, you choose your own schedule. But then once you choose the classes you're taking,
Yeah.
they're going to define how you live the
Define.
rest of your life.
Yes.
But no one is going to come running after you if you don't attend the classes.
Hmm.
You're just working for your own grades. And then that's what keeps pushing you to do something.
Yeah.
Then once you graduate, this time there is no timetable until you get maybe a career or a job.
Yeah.
But even then, there will be less pushing around and more independence,
Yeah.
but also a high expectation that you know what you're
You're
doing.
doing yes.
And the life between graduation and getting a job can also be very
Yeah,
confusing
that's what I'm thinking.
because you're like, what should I be doing from Monday till Friday?
Yeah. What have you done today? Have you
Today, today I was busy.
setting up the set
Yes, so each time I wake up in the morning, I look at my suitcase with the clothes,
Yeah.
which I already packed, but then I unpack them just to make it busier. Then I pack them again. Then I repeat that every day in the
You're
morning
trying to
to
keep
reorganize,
yourself, yeah.
keep myself busy, and make myself look useful. And then trying to set up different calls with people about a potential job opportunity and hoping that everything goes on well. But yeah, and then it makes me think of retirement, even though I'm very far from it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably how it's gonna feel once someone's no longer having to do a paycheck job.
Yeah, trying to.
Yeah, but you still have to survive. So
Yeah, you'll survive.
yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
And so you've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's a long journey. It's a long way gone. But I want you to take us like in a freshman, yeah, and maybe
Yeah.
remind the people how your experience, your transition to America went by, and how you've been growing over those past 4 years. That
Yeah.
and now you're a graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are starting to refer to me as an alumni. Little did
There
I
we,
think
there we go.
that a Rwanda student would be called an alumni to an international university. But these things happen all the time. So as a freshman, I was very playful and mischievous, if I can say that. I lived a carefree life compared to what I do now, because the less I knew, the happier I was.
Yes.
And
What do you mean? Let's say you.
ignorance, ignorance can be a bliss sometimes. So when as a freshman, all I could care about was going to class. Maybe I only took 4 classes during my first semester, and like, if I get a good grade, that's all I need to do, and then the food is right there.
Yeah.
A place to sleep is already prepared for me, and there's nothing much I need to worry about. Compared to now, when I know I will start paying bills very soon on my own, and take care of where that food is gonna be coming from. So it was different. And then, just even speaking of academic knowledge itself,
Yeah.
so the classes one takes at that level are basically intro classes that mainly give you a reflection of what you may have forgotten from high school classes. But then, as you get to the senior year, you're taking more classes that are related to what's happening on the outside. You start to become aware of the grand challenges in the environment, and then you become very concerned, because you're now part of a bigger problem, and then you're tasked with solving it, knowing that you're a graduate student. Anyways, that's all about the knowledge and the ignorance. But otherwise, I think I had more time as a freshman, so I either used it or misused it in different ways. But I think I did not have a tight deadline of different assignments, so that gave me enough time to explore different resources on campus.
Yeah, and so how have you seen yourself, you as a person, grow? Like, what areas of your life have you been able to see that big progress, that huge adjustment that you think is going to be fundamental to your transition after college?
So I think I would structure my growth in 3 categories. So there has to be the physical, the spiritual, and the intellectual. So physically, I've gained weight, and I've grown a little bit taller,
Yeah, calories.
which would be good. Yeah, calories. I've learned how to count calories, something I did not used to care about before.
Yeah.
And becoming conscious about everything I eat, after understanding how it all gets processed into my body. But physically, so either maybe mentally speaking, how much I've been able to acquire, how long can I stay focused on a task. I can now take on like more advanced tasks than I could before when I came here, and engaging with the society from different cultures, which is one of the benefits of coming to an international school, because it brings different people from different places in one place, and then you'll have like to know how to adjust to different cultures without going to their individual countries. Then spiritually speaking, religiously speaking, so when I came in, I had a very fixed mindset on how things are, and the different worldviews all were supposed to pass through my own filter channel for me to know how other people's beliefs would relate to mine. But the more I spent time with different people and looking how different religious societies practice their beliefs, I began to create a synthesis of where most of them collide or meet, more than what makes them so different, and realize the differences are usually narrow, but then we tend to expand on them so that we try to maintain an identity for the religions. So I think I am more open-minded than I was when I came in. Not that I had to change everything I believed in, but I comprehend more where the people are coming from. And also the errors that may be with my own system of beliefs that can be improved upon to make a better, healthy society. Then intellectually, now that I have a college degree, I learned that the more I knew the more I knew that I didn't know. So So the more classes I took about a certain subject, I realized there's so much out there in the world that I wasn't actually learning from class
Mm-hmm.
because I wouldn't get all the time to finish
To
all the
finish
knowledge that there is.
Yeah.
So what this college education teaches you is to be humble in your aspiration for knowledge,
No, yes.
because there's always gonna be someone who knows more than you do, and sometimes even the most educated people are still conducting research
Yeah.
to find out what lies beyond their scope of knowledge.
Mm.
So that kind of humility for the intellectual aspect was very important, and it's gonna be helpful for my career moving forward, because I'm probably gonna start doing things I have not been trying to do before.
Yeah.
So a learning mind will come from knowing that there's so much that
Right.
is yet to be learned. And then it's also important to share the little that someone knows,
Yeah.
because we can learn from teaching.
That's very powerful.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you mentioned about coming from a culture, like I would say, and don't want to call it narrow, but let's say something that was just unique. Let's say call it a bubble in some sense. But then you came to TCU where there was a lot of it.
Yes.
And so, apart from being able to learn on living with people, and just that, if you look at you at yourself as a person, is there something that you felt that, oh, this culture, particular culture, makes me appreciate my culture more?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good question actually. So let me see. So I come from Rwanda. So that's gonna be most related to the East African culture background and whatever comes with that. So meeting people from, let's say, the Southeast or the Eastern Asian cultures such as India and other places, that's like as big of a contrast you can make it to be. So the first thing, of course, has to be communication.
Yeah.
Languagely speaking, we are only being united by the English as the official language, but we each knew that we had our own cultural local languages that can bring along their own cultural context different
Yeah.
from the English language. So by interacting with the students from India, from South Korea and other places, we're able to exchange a few of the words, but it was not as important as the words we're talking about, but the meaning behind them and what it means. For instance, how we greet each other based on the levels of age and respect
Yeah.
seems to be related also to what the people in India used to address people of different ages. And the way you say hello to somebody will show the mutuality you have amongst yourself.
Yeah.
And also, so that was something that was helping me to grow culture-wise and socially speaking. But also the social cues that are non-verbal can be very important. So, for instance, now moving away from the Asian to the Texan culture, I could say, the smile that
smile,
people gave, that took me time to get used to.
Yeah.
Because back home, someone is only gonna smile to you if they know something about you,
yeah.
or if they want to interact more with you, especially if they are strangers. But I remember each time I went to the Blue, which is where we had our cafeteria,
Yes.
and then someone opened a door for me, they would smile at me, and then I would just hang around thinking they want to say hello and ask me about my family and everything. Then they would just keep moving and looking surprised that I'm just standing where I was.
Yeah.
So, and then the other thing, I did not used to smile back. I mean to
Back.
smile back,
Yeah.
because I was like, okay, interesting, you're smiling at me. So what is it? What is it about me
Yeah.
that you want to know?
Yeah.
But nothing was said.
Nothing
So
was
people just keep moving. So slowly I learned to adapt to that. It was more of an appreciation that you're there and they want to acknowledge your presence as you're walking
As you're
past
walking.
each other.
Yeah. Actually, that was going to be my follow-up question. Like, what have you discovered? Why they smell
Yes.
like you? Yeah, and so have
Definitely.
you ever been in a situation where the cultural differences sparked a conflict? And if it happened, how were you able to address something like that?
Well, I don't think I've been in a very critical situation like
Yeah.
that. But I think usually I like to make jokes.
Yeah.
And I think I was so naive to think that my jokes would apply to every culture that I went to. So it took me time each time I cracked a joke trying to make friends with people from the US.
Yeah.
And no one started to laugh or no one got the joke I was giving. and then that would interrupt the next sequence of the conversation
Okay,
I'm going to
conversation,
have.
yeah.
And sometimes I probably make maybe a joke that can be got from the Bible, and that could offend some Christians around.
Christians, yeah.
And me being a Christian, then I would understand how far they've taken it to be
Yeah.
so serious.
Yeah.
So that took me aback. So I started trying to learn what are the American jokes that I can use to synthesize with the ones that I already have.
Mhm.
Otherwise, the food was a shock to me. Basically, starting with how much sugar that is used to prepare.
Back to calories.
Yes,
Yeah.
calories and this whole weight gain thing. So where I come from, our food is mainly salt based,
Yeah.
salt dominated to sugar, and we don't have a good relationship with extra sugar in our food. We immediately attach it to some form of health problem if it's too much sugar. The name junk food
Yeah.
gives us a bad connotation back there. But here I found, surprisingly, the junk food is cheaper than the
Cheaper than the
organic food or
Yeah.
the healthy food,
Yeah.
which is the opposite back home.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So each time I went to eat the luxurious delicacies, I would see that they're all made of maybe 90% sugary
Sugar.
stuff,
Mm.
but that's all that is being offered maybe at a party.
Yeah.
And to be humble enough, I had to choose one thing, but then know that there may be a consequence attached to it.
Mm. Interesting. And now you talked about your jokes.
Hmm.
So I myself too have been in a situation where I just had to be myself, and if somebody knows you, they knows you love making jokes.
Yeah.
You're a funny guy to be around. But at the same time, it can be challenging if people don't know that aspect of you as a
Yes.
person, and in some ways, it can be a challenge to you as an individual. And in most cases, it's not your fault. It's the lack of understanding.
Yes.
And so, how long does it take you to make sure that people around you understand understand your jokes, or even understand that you're a funny person, you are not speaking anything in a bad connotation? Do you ever justify yourself, or do you find yourself in a position to justify yourself to clear the understanding, to establish a common, like something that they know, oh, he's cool. Yeah.
So actually, that's a good question. I have to figure it out in a slow process. You remind me of one of the students we were discussing with at the cafeteria. She's a nursing student, but then I don't think we had talked more in the past.
Yeah.
So as we're talking about what our classes are and what is going on in class, I started making jokes that could be probably serious. Let's say maybe I was saying maybe my professor is gonna do something terrible if I don't submit this by the deadline, and I'm just 1 minute towards the deadline as we're speaking.
Yeah.
So she would immediately think that I have to go and submit homework and leave my lunch.
Yeah.
And then she would like, oh, I'm so sorry for taking your time. Let's go and let me leave you to do something.
Yeah.
Then I would just say, I was kidding. It's a joke. I was just trying to exaggerate how much the professors
Yes.
put into this. Then she'd be like, oh, you were joking. You were pulling a prank.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. And when you have to explicitly mention that you are joking,
Yes.
it loses the fun out
That's
of it.
true. Yeah.
But then it saves you from embarrassment between the two sides. So as time went by, each time she talked to me, she had to remind me that she's not gonna know when I'm joking or not.
Yes.
Because she was like, I took you so seriously before, now I don't know the difference.
Yes, so it's hard to tell.
Yes,
I've been in the same situation where people are like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're telling me the truth.
the truth or not.
Yeah, but
And that can be dangerous.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because I remember even back home in Rwanda, there's this group of people wanted to give some computer trainings.
Yes.
And then they wanted me to call some people to come for the trainings,
Yes.
providing transport, food, and everything. So really, they just needed people.
Yes.
And they started making phone calls, but it was very hard for me to find people for the opportunity because they thought I was
You were
joking, I was
joking.
lying. They couldn't
You're
believe me.
scamming them.
Yeah, and so I had to find some 30 people that please help me reach
Yes.
out to these guys. They really need this to access this opportunity.
Yes.
Yeah, and so things like that happen.
Yeah, especially because most of my jokes come out sarcastically. So I make a joke seriously.
Yeah.
So, for instance, sometimes I can take someone into a serious, like calm conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe we're talking about a very sensitive issue. Maybe someone has just broke up with their boyfriend.
Mhm.
Then we first go into that conversation of sympathizing with each
Yeah.
other. Then slowly, then I make a small joke about that ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? On Valentine's, the only date you're gonna have next will be February 14th.
Oh,
And then,
okay.
and then for a minute they don't get it. Then
Yeah.
I'm like, and how does that relate to my
So
problem
what
right
happened?
now?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, he's gone, so you can date as many calendars as you have. Like,
Yes.
oh, you're kidding. So
Yeah.
that is some sarcasm in there, and
Yeah.
and because it's not said with a smile.
That's my, yeah, they think it's
Yes. So the next time I'm actually now like feeling lonely and
Yeah.
sad, they will think I'm about to pull another joke until they don't get it.
Yeah.
But with time they get it because, well, this is America. We have some of the funniest comedians
Yes.
with all different styles.
Yeah.
So they know how to relate you. I think people just find a place to put you
I think so.
in the way they know you.
Yeah.
Then they move. Then they start also cracking jokes that I
Uh-huh.
find hard
Yeah.
to understand.
And then the conversation
Life goes on, yes.
are fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, what have you graduated in? Tell people. Share with people.
I have graduated with an environmental science degree, a Bachelor of Science degree, and it's quite nice that I graduated single because it's a bachelor's.
What do you mean single?
So usually,
Okay. Okay. Now I got it.
now you see how
I
it
got
works.
He's single. He's a bachelor. Need to attend some bachelor's party.
Yes, I need to attend the bachelor's party and even the show, The Bachelor.
Yeah. See. Okay. 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 Yeah. We'll fix that later.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
environmental science.
Environmental science.
What is that?
So actually, that's a good question. So remember, I told you as a freshman, I didn't care about how much I knew. So
Yeah.
I would just say I'm doing this degree. People like say, "Wow, you're gonna do big things."
Big things.
But the older I grew in the upper classes, we were like, "So what exactly is an environmental science?" They're like, "It's nothing, because every science is environmental."
Mm-hmm.
So environmental science is not a specific subject you can pick out and then teach it on its own.
On its own.
It's just a mixture of all the sciences: physics, chemistry, biology, geology, and all the rest of the other classes, because it's more of an interdisciplinary subject than it is just a subject of its own.
Yeah.
So the only difference between it and each of those other subjects, it does not go into detail as a physics major would, or as a chemistry major, but it picks out something that chemistry would find in harmony with physics and then relate it to an environmental grand problem.
Yes.
So for instance, addressing climate change would be a very wide problem that's
Yes.
placed out there, and every subject is going to try to tackle it in different ways.
Yeah.
So what environmental science does is to create like a harmony between the chemical reactions that lead to the greenhouse effect,
Yeah.
and then the physics will deal with the actual influxes and the numbers that go into it. The biology will deal with the actual like life or the organisms component that are being affected by the greenhouse effect.
Yeah.
And then the mathematics will come into how you address this to either the public or to the government when you want to tell them to make an action towards reducing the level of carbon dioxide in the environment.
Yeah.
Then geology would come into the interaction of the different cycles of the atmosphere and the biosphere, and how the carbon can be converted to another form that's more stable. So in that, I've just been discussing climate change, and I've tried to pull in as many subjects together, and that is what mainly constitutes an environmental science degree.
That's huge. And so what are you hoping to do with it? Do you?
So that's good. So the first thing I think, which is important to any scientist, is to try to convey the information that they've learned to the general public in the easiest way possible.
Yeah.
And one thing with that could be me learning how to teach what I know to people, or how to communicate,
Yeah.
and also get feedback on how they treat me with that. So I think I would first go into like an academic setting,
Yeah.
maybe train some few people and learn how to convey the information I have and get trained, because I've been stuck in another bubble for the 4 years.
Yeah.
I don't know what's out there in the world
Yeah.
and how people perceive things. Then from then on, I was looking forward to working with renewable energy business companies
Yeah.
that are not majorly driven for profit, but for the change and impact that they can
They
have
can have, yes.
towards addressing these environmental problems.
Yes.
And they are far outreaching because climate change cannot work on its own. If you think about climate change, there's going to be an hunger aspect attached to it. There's going to be a poverty aspect attached to it based on all these natural disasters that can come upon. And so knowing how I can relate one big problem to others and then work with other different disciplines around it to make an impact. So
Yeah.
no matter how big or small, as long as we're changing someone's life,
Yes.
that's all that's gonna count.
Yeah. It's, so you're super passionate about environment sustainability.
Yes, sustainability it is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you once told me about sustainability words, those words that
The big word.
that needs to be changed.
Yes, exactly. But yeah,
And that's fun. And again, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a long way gone. So if you think about all these 4 years about TCU, things you've been gone through, what excites you the most about the entire experience?
wow, that's a big question because many things did excite me. But I think the biggest excitement, I would first start with the boring excitement.
Okay.
Because I'm me and I have weird preferences. But I liked the level of sleeping independence
Yeah.
that I had in college compared to my other schools
Yeah.
because with college you don't have a patron or matron or someone coming to ring a big bell to wake up in the morning.
Yes.
So the level of independence and just self-running that was in college, it fitted with my likings of the situation because I then could define how I use my time.
Yeah.
How much time do I want to spend studying for an exam? How much time do I want to spend going to church? How much time do I want to spend working for money? And how much time do I want to spend in leisure, like making music or recording or playing a video game, something like that? And also, how much time would I dedicate to socializing? That would mean attending parties or having a discussion on a dining table. So, independence,
Independence.
time independence was
Yeah.
the most fun experience next to eating food of different calibers. Yeah.
Great. And you don't have to mention names, but if you want, you can. Are there some people in your life that you think you could say thank you to have made your college journey be a
College journey.
possibility?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put them in big organizations. Then they'll decide where they fit in or not.
Yes.
I want first of all thank the Rwandan community that I found there and the one that found me there. So I remember my first birthday was celebrated in Bridges, which is an Christian-based international student organization. I was surprised because not many people knew me. I was just a freshman. I just arrived.
Yeah.
And usually we start in the fall, so my birthday was in October. So it had just been like 2 months
Yes.
since I'd arrived, and here I was with a birthday cake giving a speech to random people who have happened to celebrate my birthday. And then most of them also were the Rwandan community who helped me to integrate into the atmosphere. So that helped me to also help whoever would come after me
Yes.
in the kind of different needs they had and resources and catching up with the environment of TCU. So I think they played a huge part in my success. Then the next would be my teachers, definitely, because those are the people I was going to spend most of my time with in college. But I want to think how passionate they were on what they taught. So these are people who either have a master's or a doctorate degree in what they're teaching. So they're not teaching it for the sake of income,
Yeah.
but there's something more about life that they want to bring in through what they're teaching. So my history teacher has had as much passion in teaching his history classes as my physics teacher.
Physics teacher, yeah.
And then they had what they call office hours, and their office hours are widespread throughout the week that even though you cannot meet the schedule, you can just email a professor and then
Yeah.
they'll just get back to you and schedule a time
Yeah.
to discuss a problem or something like that. So all my professors and the ones I had classes either for core curriculum or for my major, and then the last one is my lab mates. So I worked in the Frog Lab, which is a geology lab at TCU that works with geochemistry fundamentals in solving different interactions based problems in the environment. So I want to thank my advisor, Dr. Omar Harvey, who helped to nurture me from a simple a simple environmental science pursuing student
Yeah.
to someone who could actually convert what they learned in school to an application that could solve a problem.
Yeah.
So that's what my research was basically about. And then the lab mates who helped me also learn different techniques and tools that are involved in scientific research.
Research. Very important. Yeah, that's great. And I think if they watch this video,
Yeah,
they will
yeah.
really be happy to see you
Yeah.
talking to them. And so there's a lot of international students coming, and there's a lot more already in colleges trying to make adjustment, not trying to like struggling with transition.
Yes.
What would be one advice would help them to make it a little bit easier, or something that worked best for you in your first few weeks of transition? Yeah, just any advice you would give to new people coming.
So the first thing they have to keep in mind is that everyone is running at a different pace. So it's wise not to try to run at somebody else's pace, because even though we're in the same race, like call it college or life or anything in general, we come from different backgrounds and we have different strengths and weaknesses on how we are going to complete this race. So take everything at your own time. Do not rush anything, and that could apply to anything that you're going to meet in the first few weeks of college. So you may be like, I want to get a 3.5 as soon as I can. So I want to get all these A's, and then if you don't happen to get all the A's as a freshman, you may feel downhearted, because in the mind you're like, the reason I've flown away from all this far in my country is to come and make my parents and my nation proud. So if you get anything less, you feel like you are letting them down.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works, because you should first of all have empathy towards yourself. You have come from a totally different educational system, and you're trying to integrate it to a new one that is more dynamic.
Yeah.
And therefore, any achievement you make, no matter how small, is still a contribution to what you're going to do towards the next 4 years. So take everything at your own pace. It's okay to look at how other people are doing things so you can learn from them, but do not so much compare your progress to anybody else.
Yeah.
At the very least, the beauty of college, they don't have positions, as in this is the first, this is the second in class. So you're working towards your own transcript, your own GPA. So don't rush it. Take time to reflect and reward yourself for any achievement you make, because no one is going to do that for you, at least in the first time. So let's say if you made a target of going to class at 8 a.m. and then you successfully attend all your classes in time for the 8 a.m. Take yourself somewhere and buy yourself a small drink, or just a good meal that you don't likely have.
Yeah.
Or take somebody out and then talk about it and let them appreciate something. Then number 2, find a healthy supporting community. You will meet many people who want to become friends with you for different reasons, but not all of them are going to match your preferences or what can work for you. Just because someone invites you to a party 10 times doesn't mean you have to go to all those parties 10 times. You can create boundaries, and then the friends you'll have are the ones who respect those boundaries with time, and you learn about their boundaries as well, and then that will work out for the best of the both of you.
Yeah.
Then the last advice is communicate. Do not be afraid to talk. Do not be afraid to ask for help, because there's so much help, but no one is going to give it to you without asking for it, because they don't want to offend you. It may be shameful, based on where we come from, to ask for simple things, like if you need help opening a door. That's something that usually people want to figure out themselves. but that can make a difference between spending an hour outside the dormitory
Yeah.
and just 2 minutes asking someone passing by. So it does not offend them to ask for help.
Thank you for sharing. So this is going to be my last questions.
Yeah.
You're done with school.
Mhm.
What are you super excited about in the next steps forward?
The next steps forward. Wow,
Yeah.
it's so excited is a much more positive word. But I can say a few things. I think I'm excited to get a career, to
Yeah.
start building a career, to start using what I know to the very best of the rest of the society, and paying my bills and having my name written on them, and seeing how many mistakes and good things I can make with my life after that. But I'm also super excited on the impact I'm going to make, and people are also going to make towards me on the outside life. You know, life outside school.
School, yeah.
I feel like I've been in school since my primary life and haven't escaped it since. So it feels to me like I'm jumping out of some closed loop into a big jungle with a variety of ecosystems in it. So I'm looking forward to see how that goes.
Well, thank you for sharing. We're very happy to have you here again and great conversations. I hope people are listening. They have learned a lot of things. Yeah, this is a new episode. We talked to a lot of international students trying to help them share their stories, and yeah, we believe these stories are going to help other students make a smooth transition. So click the subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.